How you doing, fellas? So I want to talk about what could be the most powerful tool to overcome people-pleasing behaviours, to overcome the nice guy. If you find yourself seeking approval, maybe from women in relationships, maybe just even on dates, it's very, very, very common for almost all men. Maybe you catch these patterns arising at work, with friends, family, with strangers you meet for the first time. One thing we can say for sure is that it doesn't feel good. So if we people please for a lot of our lives, we spend a lot of our lives not feeling good. And why is it we don't feel good? What's actually going on there? Well, it's all to do with our nervous systems. When we're in a state of fight or flight, or even freeze states where we tense up, we can't feel good. Our bodies weren't designed, we didn't evolve to feel good when we're stressed. Because when we're stressed, we're under some kind of perceived threat. It could be a conscious threat or an unconscious perceived threat. The stress response kicks in and it puts us into action to try and remain safe. So fight or flight is fighting a threat, escaping it, right? Fight or flight, or freezing up in the hope that we don't get seen. So when we go into people-pleasing behaviours, it's actually an expression of the sympathetic drive within the autonomic nervous system. Now, consciously, say you're on a date with a woman, consciously you know you're not in danger. You know she's not going to kill you. You know that the opinions of the people around you in the restaurant, let's say, aren't going to affect your safety in any way. But why is it that we experience the fight or flight response? Well, it's because unconsciously we think we're under some kind of danger. It has nothing to do with your rational mind. And it all comes from childhood. Our unconscious mind remembers every single event that's ever happened to us. And when we go through moments of stress, of hardship, of difficulty, of trauma, as children, a part of our psyche essentially gets detached from us and it remains in the past. And now we're adults and we're walking around with a whole heap of young parts that are still frozen and stuck in the past. Hey guys. So it can really be quite painful to be a man or an adult. And, excuse me, I'm just waiting for my dog. It can be very painful to have these parts that come up because they sabotage so much of our life. They can sabotage business, friendships, relationships, sex, all of it. And we can think that, we're an adult, we know that we're an adult, but these parts that were hurt and damaged when we were younger still think that we're living in that time when we were young. Now, what is one behaviour trait that all young kids have? I mean, I'd say that almost all people have, but certainly children, is that we have to seek safety through connection, specifically from our caregivers, right? From mum or dad. If mum and dad are happy with us and pleased, then the hearts are open, we feel their love, everything's good, we feel safe. If mum and dad are angry at us, pissed off at us, their hearts are closed, that doesn't feel safe. Now we've got to shift who we're being in order to get that safety from mum and dad, the open heart. And that almost always involves being good little boys, saying the right things, being well behaved, just saying and doing stuff that might not be in any way congruent with how we feel. But it gets us safety and it gets us that approval. Now we're adults and we're carrying on those behaviour traits and we're seeking the open-hearted approval from other people in order for us to feel safe. Now, what's interesting is you could be a man who's earning £1 million a year, very high level businessman, he's got his shit together, he has maybe a lot of girlfriends, drives nice cars, but if he hasn't dealt with these wounds that he suffered from when he was younger, he will always be carrying them, and it will always affect his relationships. Now, typically what men like this might do is just find a new woman and a new woman and a new woman all the time, and therefore they won't have to deal with the rejection wounds that they carry. And there's like plenty of nice hot young women that are queuing up to date a man of that kind of status and wealth. So they never really get to deal with those wounds. That means they never really experience true love and satisfaction despite all the money they have. That doesn't mean that they don't enjoy certain aspects of life, but this is all about evolving to become an authentic man, a man who's got his shit together in the world of dating, relationships, money, things like that. And it all comes from our nervous system. So, I want to talk about what we can do to overcome this, because it's really important for our happiness and health in life. Hey guys. So I talk about these detached parts that happen when we're younger, right? Now, when you're younger, you might have been abused by little girls, verbally, even physically, I don't know. Maybe you've got older sisters with friends. Maybe you got aunties, maybe your mum, maybe you got or you had female cousins, and they didn't treat you particularly well. Maybe they had their own shit to deal with around men. They've had their own traumas. Maybe, I've got memories of when I was a little boy. The amount of love I used to have in my heart for girls was huge. I didn't really know what to do with all that love. But after enough rejection, I learned I had to close my heart. And therefore, what did I need to do instead to get some kind of connection? Well, I had to act out in a certain way that got her to like me. And that's really at the center of all people-pleasing behaviors. It's choosing connection over authenticity. We're not choosing to be authentic, we're choosing to be people-pleasers because that feels safe to our unconscious mind. And the conscious mind has really very little control over this. Like, you can try and be really present in moments where you might normally people please and therefore refrain from people pleasing. But if we still got those traumatized parts within us, they're going to drag us out of our presence and down into our shit. And then we're going to have to deal with all that emotion that we've been hiding from all our life. Not only that, the thing with a lot of men, and I have this as well, I'm not completely free of this. We've got our own egos to deal with. We don't want to admit that we've got scared little young parts living within us. We want to hide that shit from the world. We don't want to be seen as weak. And we also want to hide it from ourselves. So we don't even want to go there ourselves. We just move to the next relationship and the next relationship without really getting any true healing from these patterns. And the relationships we have are just continue to be toxic. And nothing happens, no real change happens. And then what do? We seek some kind of safety through approval. We seek it through stimulation, through YouTube, through anything that we might think give us some positive feeling. But it's just never going to do it. It comes from doing inner child parts work. And we got to, let me just slow down a bit. So what is inner child parts work? So I've explained what the parts are. So you are, a part of you is these little parts that come up. They come up in all of us. They're the scared parts. So I'll give you an example. When I was a little kid, I told a girl I liked her. She didn't like me back. She didn't treat me very well. And I went up to her with like love in my heart to share that with her. Now I learned that it was so painful to me that I learned to like close that feeling down because I couldn't have that go through that pain again. And this was all unconscious, right? I wasn't like figuring this out in my conscious mind. And so I'm an adult and I can walk around feeling good. And maybe I see a woman and I want to go say hi to her. And then in my couple of footsteps towards her, that part comes up. That part that wants to hide my love, hide my heart, and offer her some kind of inauthentic version of me that will get her to want to go on a date with me or whatever it is I want from her. Now that's how almost all men go about dating and attraction these days. It's kind of what we learn, but we don't learn that it's actually a result of trauma. You know, it's an expression of our trauma. So also within all of us is the self. The self, you might have heard of the self. The self is the part of us that is essentially in full acceptance of everything. When you can be in allowance and accepting of what's going on around you and what's going on inside of you, you know that you're tapping into the self, because the self, essentially, it's just pure awareness. It's like consciousness. It can't judge. It can't, like, if you could bring up a part that's afraid, maybe the people pleasing part that comes up within you in relationships or with friendships, and you can watch that part without any judgment, without that's wrong, or without I want to get rid of this is causing me problems in life, it's sabotaging in many areas. All of that is just more parts that are keeping that part down. If you can remain totally present with it and essentially emotionless, so no anger, no fear, no judgment, no apathy, nothing, just pure awareness, that's essentially you unconditionally loving that part. That allows the part to come up. So if you've got people pleasing behaviors, how much time have you spent with that part, getting to know it, getting to love it, communicating to it that it's safe, that you're not a child anymore, that you don't need to seek approval from other people. You've got this. You're an adult now. You're a man. You don't need to seek solace through connection. You connect with yourself. The self, right? You connect with the self. And in that, you can connect with all of your little parts. I've got scared parts, you've got scared parts. The most powerful men in the world have scared parts. A lot of the most powerful men in the world have the most scared parts, and that's what drives them to amass so much power, because it's such a vulnerable part of them. I don't care how powerful a man is, or how wealthy he is, or how well he's done with money, business, or like attracting women. It just doesn't matter if they still got the scared parts, and so much of that is going to be an avoidance of that. It's going to be an attempt to prove to the world that they're tough and strong and okay, when in actual fact they're not. And we can see that by how they treat the world, how they go about making money, how they go about their relationships, right? Hey mate. I mean, you could be violent towards women and still have them queuing up outside your door. It's not about getting women. It's about being a healthy, well-integrated, authentic man who isn't afraid of his love, but also isn't afraid to have balls. He's not afraid of his more masculine sexual energy. Because really, that's all we need to do, is just ignite our heart and our balls, and then we're good. We can, especially the heart. If your heart's open, you can't really go wrong in life. Because if you're feeling love, if you've opened your heart because you feel safe enough to do that, you're not going to do anything bad. Because love is just giving. It's just being good, right? So you literally don't want to cause harm. If you had an open heart and you started a business, you're not going to focus on what can I get, how much money can I get, and therefore I might create ill health to people in my attempt to earn money. I might ruin the planet or create, whatever, chop down trees or whatever in order to make more money. If someone started a business with an open heart and then they started doing those practices, they're not going to have an open heart for much longer, and it's all going to be coming from the ego, and it's all a bit messy really. So I'm going to end the call, but just being with the parts, that's the way forward. Please reach out if you want to work with me one-on-one, and I'll see you in the next video.